Well, good morning to all of you. Today is the second Sunday out of 5 Sundays in a row where we hear from this 6th chapter of the Gospel of John, this famous chapter in which Jesus describes to us his great plan, his plan to give us the most precious gift, the most holy Eucharist. Yes, in last week's Sunday's Gospel, we heard the story of the multiplications of the loaves and fishes. Jesus fed 5,000 people through a miracle. That event was a sort of prelude to these next 4 weeks where Jesus slowly unveils his great plan to give us the Eucharist. So this gospel today takes up where last Sunday's gospel left off. It's the following morning after everybody has just been filled, and we always know what comes after a good meal. The next day, what happens? We're hungry again. So all these people are following Jesus, and they're hungry once again. "Sir, give us this bread always," they beg of him. "Give us this bread always." Jesus wants to do something for them, right? He wants to do something for them. Now, let's just pretend here for a minute. Let's just pretend for a minute that Jesus just says, "Yeah, you want some more bread today? Some more fish? Absolutely." And Jesus does the miracle again. Right, that's not written here. But we use our imaginations for a second. So everybody's filled again. On day 2, everybody gets as much bread and as much fish as they want on day 2. Do you think that on day 3, everybody wants more bread and fish? I think I would probably be bored of bread and fish by day 3. In fact, I'm bored of fish on day 1. What about day 4? Right? Now they realize, wow, this guy can do anything. Jesus, you're great. Wow, amazing. What else could you do? Jesus, could you give us all a boat? Wouldn't that be great? Yeah, Jesus says, yeah, I'm going to give all of you guys a boat. You get a free boat, you get a free boat, you get a free boat, you get a free boat. Wow, Jesus, this is amazing. All sorts of boats out there on the Sea of Galilee. Everybody's got their boat. What about day 5? Jesus, this is great, but it'd be great to get a little speed on these boats. Can we get some motors? Yeah, you can get some motors. We'll put motors on those boats. What happens on day 6, day 7, day 50? The more and more people realize what Jesus can give to them, the more they ask, the more he gives. What about day 99? What are they asking by day 99? Jesus, we want to be kings and queens of the whole world. And we want to live in great palaces made out of gold and diamonds. Sure, I can make you kings and queens of the whole world. I'm God. I can do whatever I want. And he gives it to them. And then imagine just for a second on day 100, they realize, Jesus, you're so good. You can do anything. We realize that all we ever wanted really was you. Could you give us you? And what does Jesus say? Yeah, I can give you myself. I can give you myself. Isn't our God good? Our blessed Lord knows what we want long before we ever do. And so Jesus wants to skip that first 99 days. He doesn't want to drag us through all of that. He wants to take us right to the point. He wants to fulfill our desire now with the most important thing, his own body and blood, which is the greatest desire of the human heart. Everything in this world passes away at some point. But the Eucharist never does. It's the only thing that remains. Ever since Jesus began to give us his body and blood, It's the only thing that has lasted these last 2,000 years. Everything else in the world has been changing, but not the Eucharist. People have come and gone, emperors have risen and fallen, but the Eucharist, see it, it's still here. And see, the whole project of our life is to learn to train our affections and our desires to actually begin to want what's real, what's true, and what's lasting. Because we don't yet know how to want what we ought to want. What Jesus is giving to us is the ultimate thing that we desire. But we have to learn to want that the way we were made to. And every time we come to Mass, the Lord chips away at us a little bit more, and He purifies our desires. He makes us begin to want more and more that which we were made for. One of my favorite authors is C.S. Lewis. He was this great 20th century Christian writer, and he had this most beautiful quote. He said, "It would seem that our Lord finds our desires not too strong, but too weak." Let me say it again. It would seem that our Lord finds our desires not too strong, but too weak. We are half-hearted creatures, fooling around with drink and ambition when infinite joy is offered to us, like an ignorant child who wants to go on making mud pies in a slum because he cannot imagine what is meant by the offer of a holiday by the sea. We are far too easily pleased. What C.S. Lewis is really trying to point out to us is we were made for an infinite satisfaction. And if we're not careful, we'll settle for things that don't really satisfy because we're impatient. The Lord wants to satisfy our deepest desire. And so if we're not patient, we end up being like little kids who have never heard of the sea or the beach and grow up in a slum, and the only fun thing we know how to do is make mud pies. And so when somebody comes by and offers us this great gift of going on this wonderful vacation, we say no, because we can't imagine anything better. The Lord wants to give us imaginations that can trust what He has to give, because it is better. So at this Mass, we invite the Lord to purify our desires, to help us to want this great gift which He is so eager to give to us. This gift which remains so steady and so stable in our world. So while this planet spins around, and maybe our heads spin around too once in a while, let us be deeply rooted in the Eucharist, which remains steady and constant and stable for us in our lives.